Hello everyone, welcome to the final part in this video series on Star Wars Visions. For those of you who don't know what Visions is, it's a bunch of shorts by different Japanese animation studios that put a new spin on Star Wars from a Japanese anime perspective. It's very much along the same lines as the Animatrix or Halo Legends, if anyone has seen those. In the last two videos, me and Ben watched each episode and gave our thoughts on each of them. If you haven't seen those videos yet, links are in the description. One of them is on Ben's channel, so give him a like and subscribe if you enjoyed that. And if you're coming over from Ben's channel and enjoy the video and want to see more of my content, feel free to do the same over here. That's my spiel over and done with. Thank you for watching and enjoy the video. Alright guys, so we finished watching all the episodes now, and I think the best way to just kind of like summarize our thoughts on the series as a whole is through a tier list, just like rating the episodes, because that'll give us like a good idea of like the balance of like what is actually good here versus what stuff that we don't really want to see in the future. So let's just start off here. This is actually the one that we just... Oh, it's like in backwards order up to a point. Let's just start here with Akakiri, I guess. So what do you think about this one, Ben?
So I thought this one had some good... It wasn't the worst one. It wasn't the best one either. It sort of was... It had some elements that I kind of thought were okay. I liked the sort of darker ending. I like it when Star Wars does that. That's sort of the biggest plus I can give it. The fights themselves were kind of cool too. I know you were commenting how you didn't love the like style of lightsaber, which I can get behind, but the fights themselves I thought were quite nice as well. I would put this one a little bit below average personally.
Like a C or a B?
Yeah, I would call this a C probably.
Yeah. I like I said before when we were talking in our post watching discussion, I didn't really like the way the characters and the lightsabers looked, but I do think like some of the story elements were cool, like how they like took the girl, I don't even remember her name, and then like his vision came true because they put like the mask on her and like he accidentally killed her, right? Like I think that's like a cool little twist on what we've already seen before, kind of in the prequels.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was good. It just wasn't.
Yes, I feel like some of the time was wasted. Like there was like this whole part where they're in the mountain and like the guy got lost and then they found him and it's like, okay, so like what does that mean? Like what does that like what does that add to this story? Because those guys in the end didn't like, they were kind of like, oh, we're funny, the comic relief, but other than that, like you only got 20 minutes here, use it as best you can. Like they could have like used like 30 more seconds or a minute more on like the ending part if they had taken that part out and like explained more about this guy's like turn to the dark side, right?
So. Exactly. No, I think you're totally right.
Yeah.
So next one, I need to pull up an episode list. Give me 1 second. This was Lop and Acho. This one I would.
It's definitely near the top. Like
yeah, it's near the top for sure. What do you think?
So when I first watched this, I thought it was like an S tier, but I'm not sure anymore. Like because I think there was. The problem with this, like we kind of said in the discussion, was that it needed to be longer. Like it was just like too fast. Like the main bad guy, the girl Ocho, she goes from being like this like bubbly little girl to like completely like 100% Empire sympathizer, like putting literally like smearing her eyes with blood like in 2 minutes, like you know.
I remember I pointed out during the episode itself that a lot of people criticized the prequels for a similar thing when it comes to Anakin's character arc, where like 1 minute he's like buddy with Obi-Wan, they're like bros, and he's like a cool dude, and then like and he's like an awkward teenager, and then the next minute he just like murders a room of kids, sort of thing. The Clone Wars sort of like fleshed that out a little bit, but originally that was one of the main criticisms of the prequels that I can remember.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like it's harder, like. I'm kind of torn here because it's like, do we give it a pass because it's 20 minutes, or is that like something we can't give a pass on, right? Because they knew they had 20 minutes, so
yeah.
I think like I kind of yeah, no problem. I thought like when I first watched it, I was like, this is S tier, but now like it's like really in between A and S tier for me.
Yeah, I think that I think we can kind of. We sort of just have to, because one of the criticisms with the prequels that it seemed like no time had passed at all between Anakin being cool and Anakin murdering kids, and this time though we sort of saw it's like, oh, there's like a big time lapse, like anything could have happened in that period.
Yeah, so, like, it was like 7 years.
Maybe it gets a pass on that.
Yeah, Yeah,
I
honestly,
would put it in A tier personally,
I
but
think
if
so
you want to
too.
put it in S, I wouldn't hate on you for that.
No, I think I'm gonna put it in A tier. Well, we'll see. I hope we have some S tier ones here.
I think that one might have been the best one, so I'm not sure if we'll have any S's, but we'll see.
All right, okay. So how about this? We put it in S because
Uh-huh.
this is like the S tier for Visions. You know?
Yeah, maybe. If we're
Um,
normalizing it afterwards, then perhaps that's how we should do it.
yeah, it's just like, should this be like based on like all of Star Wars? Would we like put Rogue One next to this or something? I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah, fair enough. We should probably normalize it with its own self. So in that case, I would say put it in S tier for sure.
Okay, yeah, but definitely, S tier. We've talked about the problems of this, so S tier is not
Mm-hmm.
perfect. It's just pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Although, all right, we'll get to that when we come to it. But let's see, Toby or TOB1.
T. I definitely close to the bottom.
I think
Probably D tier.
I
Yeah.
I think we're gonna put it in D tier.
I did the one like redeeming thing. I mean, the animation was kind of cool, and then also I mentioned during the episode that I thought the idea of like you don't have to fit the mold, do whatever you want, sort of thing is like kind of a cool message. So like who says droids can't be Jedi? Go for it, like live your dream. And that's like a
Yeah,
cool message and that's something you wouldn't be able to do in like regular Star Wars canon because I mean even me like if they like did something like that in like actual Star Wars canon, I would be like mad. I'd be like, what the fuck? Droids can't use the Force. But like it's like a fun little tale.
yeah. I think the
Yeah.
problem is that this is like really targeted towards like
Mm-hmm.
the younger demographic, like 7 to 8 year olds, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
people who are not really, they just want to see like cool stuff, like, and they would identify with this character more because it's like very clearly a very like supposed to be a really young person.
Yeah, and some of the
So
animation was cool too. So like
no,
that's
I really like the animation in this, like in not necessarily like, I don't know if I'd like a full Star Wars thing in this animation.
yeah.
But if I saw like another property using this animation that like made sense for it and it was like a full length movie, like that movie would probably like have like amazing art. I would like to watch that. But
I agree entirely.
yeah. Now for the next one here, we're gonna have to add a new category, which is the Jar Jar tier. I think you won't disagree that the Tatooine Rhapsody goes in the Jar Jar tier.
In the Rancor pit, yeah.
Oh wait,
Or
no,
Jar Jar Binks.
this has to be the Rancor pit
The
actually.
Rancor pit, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm trying to think of a nice thing to say about that episode. Like, I guess
there
like
there's nothing I really can't think of much nice things to say about it.
there was like a couple really nice shots. I like the one where there was like the cave and then the slave one and then like this big like void between it and like that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um, I'm really trying hard here.
I mean, they had an episode that was focused on music and the music wasn't good. Like that's just a crime, Like
Yeah, it was like yeah.
it was like Kitty
I,
Pop, you know?
I don't really have very many nice things. I mean, actually, wait, what did I say? I said that it was very brave,
The
but the
wrong
bravery did not
reasons.
pay off like it did in some
No.
of the other episodes.
Yeah, they rolled a
Mhm.
wisdom saving throw and they got a 1.
Can't win them all.
Critical failure. Sometimes you roll a 20 and sometimes you roll a 1.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
The
the
duel.
duel. The duel was good. There wasn't like a whole lot of dialogue in it. It was mostly just as it says, a duel. It was. I'm sort of split between B and A because like it was like it was very boilerplate, like the story itself. It was like this rogue like wandering ninja comes and like defends this village from invaders sort of thing, and then like has a soft spot for like one of the village kids, so like gives them like part of his treasure or spoils or whatever. That's like very
Yeah. It's like been done since like the 70s as like the
yeah.
main. I
And
have seen. Sorry, I'll
oh,
after you. Yeah.
oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, and like just because it's simple though doesn't mean it's bad. Like I think that I did like this one. I enjoyed it. I think the animation style was so crazy that it worked. This is the example of like something I would say where it's like, oh, this was really brave and like mean that in a good way. Like it was they took a lot of risks with this episode. I think like almost all of them paid off. Like especially with the animation style, with everything being in black and white except for like a couple things. I think I'm talking myself into putting it in the A tier for me. What do you think?
Yeah, I was gonna say A tier as well. Like it's a simple story, but just like the animation style, like it's really cool how like everything is black and white, but then like blaster bolts start happening and they're like yellow and there's like red, and then like there's some random parts like there's like these Christmas lights or like little like machinery lights that are also lit up, and it's just like it's just very interesting, right?
Hmm.
Um, and then the music, I think we also talked about was really good in
Oh
this as
yeah,
well. Yeah.
I forgot to mention that the music in this one. I think this had the best music of any of them. This one was incredible with the music. The Duel, like it sounded exactly like Duel of the Fates without being Duel of the Fates. And then, like we said earlier, it sounded a little bit like The Witcher too, which we both like the music from.
And then
Um,
yeah, and then at the end when he like kills the like Inquisitor or whatever, and he's like praying at the shrine, like there was a really good like musical note there with like the person singing in the background, and like I think like one of those like very low like wooden flute sounds.
yeah, 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 yeah,
And
yeah.
that was like a really, I mean, it's kind of like cheesy in how like samurai movie it is, but like it was good, it just worked,
Yeah. No,
All
I
right,
agree entirely.
I think A tier then.
Yeah.
The Elder.
It was like better than average, I think. It had a nice message of oh shoot, oh right, it was the Ozymandias one. Yeah, I sort of liked the like. Well, I guess it's not really so much of a nice message as sort of just like a wisdom reality, right? Of like, you know, in his prime he would have beat us, but nothing lasts forever, sort of thing. And that's sort of just wisdom that we all probably shouldn't always dwell on because it'll drive us insane. But just be aware of.
Yeah, I also like the whole aspect of like I didn't defeat him, time did. I think it was cool because like it was the Jedi being wise and saying like I'm not even that powerful, right? Like it's kind of like like there are
Pretty
some
humble.
Jedi. Yeah, like well, literally some of the Jedi were like not humble, right? Like Master Mace,
True.
like if Mace Windu was there, he'd be like that guy was a punk ass bitch, Like
I fucked that guy up.
yeah, like but that guy, he had a lot of wisdom there, and I like to see the
Mhm.
interaction between the Padawan and the apprentice, right? And he like the whole message of like someday I'm gonna be
Mhm.
like weak and you're gonna be strong too. I mean that didn't actually happen because Order 66, but um,
Mhm.
but I think this episode does suffer from like we were talking about this during our discussion, but some of the pacing's a little bit too slow. Like there's like a lot of just standing around talking with the
Mhm.
monotone voices. And not like the monotone voices are bad because that's like that's like a personality that's like totally valid, right? For somebody to be like very like composed, you know.
Mhm.
Um, but like when it goes on for like 2.5 minutes of like with nothing else happening, and this is only like a 20-minute thing, uh,
Yeah,
it was
I'd
that
put it
could have
in B
been.
two.
I'm thinking B tier.
I
Look at
think
this.
B is good. We got a good distribution. Look
We
at
got a
that.
perfect distribution right now.
Let's fuck it up with whatever the
Yeah,
next one is.
this one is. I think I'm just gonna say it right now. I think this is an S tier category contender
I think
as
so
well.
too. I liked it a lot. The plot twist was good. The fights were good. The general story was good, although it was a bit weird with the like one Jedi or the one guy knowing how to like forge swords when like it was like a lost art or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, the one weakness or like one of the bigger weaknesses of this episode, I think this is truer with this episode than any other episode, that it wasn't long enough. Like there was just a lot of shit that like could have definitely been like again. I think this could have been like an hour and a half, 2 hour movie for
Yeah,
sure.
that's like one of the main problems, right? Like maybe you could have seen this girl growing up a little bit more, so that we have like a little bit more explanation of like why she's like naturally good at
Why
with a
she's good,
lightsaber.
yeah.
But I mean, to be honest, like you can kind of like I said in the discussion again, like you could kind of argue that because she grew up with like the one lightsaber smith in the whole
Mhm.
galaxy, apparently, like she
Yeah.
might be like the one person who actually has experience with a lightsaber compared to all these Sith. But
Mhm.
imagine if we got like an hour long movie or like 6 episodes, like a mini series of this. Like that would be so
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, and
And
I love the foreshadowing early on of like, oh, this lightsaber, like with like depending on your connection with the Force, it'll be different, and it's like that foreshadowing of then like, and I remember like listening to that, I'm like, oh, there's gonna be some shit happening later on where that's like super relevant, and then yeah, that plot twist where they're all red is like, oh,
yeah, like
wow,
the fact that they actually did a good plot twist in a 20
yeah,
minute episode, like hats off to you guys. Like
no, yeah, that
that's
was,
that's
and
kind
I
of
didn't
hard to
see that
do.
coming at all.
Especially for people like us who've like seen a lot of media to actually pull off something that like surprised us. It's like it's
Yeah.
definitely a lot harder to do that and very commendable. Also, I just thought like the fighting was pretty good in this. I think we mentioned like the fact like there was pretty good like lightsaber choreography. Like people
Mhm.
actually got sliced and burned instead of like the
Mhm.
PG shit. So yeah, there's a lot
The
of stuff.
like
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. The like the Aesopian like fable like message of this episode was like, don't judge a book by its cover, right? Because all the like guys that looked like they were good were like bad, and then the one guy that was like very obviously looked evil was like a good guy, and it was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, dope.
I wrote in my notes, and you said this when we were watching, like, that guy in the hologram looks so suspicious, right? He looks sus.
Yeah,
And
looks like he
then,
just bent it.
well, they literally, and they did it on purpose, right? Because he had like a mask and like red eyes, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they totally caught us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well done there.
I think we're not gonna dispute that it's like S tier, probably above Flop and Ocho, right?
Yeah, I think it was my favorite episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's next?
The twins. Oh boy.
The twins was just like the goofiest, like shonen, like over the top, like action anime shit. It definitely loses a tier for reminding me that The Last Jedi exists. I think probably C for me. I think it was definitely better than T0. What is that? T0B1 or whatever.
Yeah, Toby.
Yeah, it was probably about as good as Akakiri. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say even like lower than Akakiri, because for me, I think like the people who like this episode, they're like, it's just dumb action, but I don't really like action that's dumb, you know? Like, I want more like action that makes sense and is like, holy shit, like, look what they just did that makes actual sense.
So it's like, I just stuck a crystal in my chest. Now I have 6 arms, all with lightsabers. And then this guy's like, I just tactically reloaded my lightsaber, and now I have like this beam. Yeah.
It's literally a Death Star beam coming out of my lightsaber, and I'm gonna stand on top of my ship while it goes into hyperspace and cut this bitch. And I'm not even gonna cut the girl. I'm gonna have such accuracy with my extendo lightsaber that I just slice her chest, and the lightsaber comes out.
You know,
oh yeah, and by the way, we're all in space with like no helmets or anything here.
But no, I think you're right. I think it's probably a little below Akakiri.
Yeah, I mean, they were just going for ridiculous. I think they just wanted to make a cool fight scene to show off like how good they are at animating things, like the studio who did this. So I don't think it was like, it's just it was intentionally that way, and I just think it didn't vibe with us too well. It wasn't like they accidentally did it badly, you know. And then the last one is The Village Bride here.
Oh, so, that one was good. That one was really, I liked that one was the one with the really nice backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
Let me check my list here. Yeah, that one could have used a bit more explanation as to why things were going the way they were. Actually, no. I take that back. They actually did explain that later in the episode.
Yeah, like with the force.
They wanted it for like hostages or for like.
Oh, right.
So they had like collateral, right? Yeah.
Yeah. They wanted to take the old man, and then the girl. They took the girl instead, the granddaughter.
Yeah, I forgot that they gave that little spiel. Yeah, okay, that makes sense then. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm kind of like, so some parts. Upon rewatching this, like, I thought it was an A, but upon rewatching now, I'm thinking, like, it's somewhere in between B and A, because some parts were, like, really slow, but I did like the art style. Some of the background's really nice, and I did like the whole exploring the Force from another culture's perspective, and, like, the kind of, like, more mystery to the Force, because, like, this whole planet has, like, some sort of, like, connection to the Force, like, the whole planet, right? They were, like, the planet remembers things, and they saw like a Force vision when they were getting married, the two like side protagonists. And I think that's cool because like sometimes like people like over explain the Force. And then sometimes people like create like crazy powers, right? But it's not like it's not
that happened a few times in this, didn't it?
Yeah, but then it's not super bad for like like a planet to like have this like weird like connection to the Force. Like maybe it's like a wellspring of the Force.
Yeah, well, that's like not new in Star Wars. They've been doing that. They did that with Lothal, right, in Rebels. They did that with Dagobah. They did that with
yeah, like the little cave where like they saw like Luke saw Darth Vader, right? Like that when they were getting married and saw like themselves as kids. Like that was just like a good version of like that kind of like vision, right?
Yeah, exactly. So they've done like planets being strong with one side of the Force before. Like that's not new. So
yeah, so I like that kind of experimentation. I mean, I think where it falls, I'm not necessarily putting an A yet. I'm just letting go of my mouse, but I think the part where it kind of flopped a little bit, like when I first watched it, like the whole fight scene, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like she like pulled her lightsaber and stuff. But like we actually didn't get to see like the lightsaber at all. Like she didn't actually, it was like a cut. Like she like did the like getting ready to like do like the Genji's charge, you know, from Overwatch, right? And then it just like cut and then the guy has his arm off, right? Like, I mean, it's like cool, you can like kill him in one shot, but I felt like the fight was a little bit anticlimactic.
Yeah, I understand that. I also think it dragged a little bit at some parts, where it's just like, okay, like I understand what's going on here. It's sort of just move on. But like
Mm.
some of the episodes here were like I think too short, and then some of them were like maybe a bit too long. I think this might have been the one that was a little too long.
I think this
But
one, yeah. So maybe B tier.
I think B tier is good. Yeah.
So I will say with this one, this is another one I'd actually liked, even though we're putting it at B tier. I think like if they had more time, like to make this into an actual show,
Mm-hmm.
this has like potential. Like it's not necessarily like Lop and Ocho where like you can kind of like immediately see the potential, but
Mm-hmm.
like if like we don't know anything about this Jedi, right? Like imagine if we had like 6
Yeah.
episodes or whatever. If there was like actual like longer fight scenes, like this could
Mm-hmm.
be a cool show, you know. But just
Yep.
like
No, I see
just
that entirely. Despite what I just said about like this one dragging a bit too long, I think that like if they made it into like a full thing, they would have a lot of material to work with for sure.
yeah, like this you could see this as like a kind of like filler episode, you know, in like an actual continual
That's
show,
actually a
right?
great way of looking at that.
Like
That's a filler episode in a longer anime.
yeah,
Absolutely.
we
Yeah,
need
yeah.
to now we need to go hunting for the lost artifacts of
Yeah,
the rest
no,
of this
awesome.
anime. All right. Well, I think that kind of sums it up. I mean, we have like a pretty good distribution here of good and
Yeah.
bad. Um,
Mhm.
like there were two like really bad ones. Well, I mean, even Toby is just like not bad, but it's just not for us.
Yeah.
Um,
No, yeah, Toby would be like great if I was like 8 years old. Like for sure. I would have loved that shit.
yeah. I think it's like this is where they could have gone. What was that one where it was like the new like sequel trilogy Rebels? Like nobody watched it.
Oh, Resistance. I watched the first season of that. It was so bad. Nothing happened the whole season.
So
Absolutely not a single thing happened.
how does Resistance compare to Toby? Do you think Toby should have been
Uh
Resistance?
I I think they're both like kind of boring.
You know, like Toby could be, you know, like on the kids channels when you were really young, they would have like the main shows, and then they'd have like during the commercials, like they'd have like a thing that would go for like 2 minutes, like a mini show.
Oh,
Like
I forgot about
Toby,
that. But yeah, I
like
actually do
you know,
remember
like how
those.
like they used to do that, right? Toby could
Mhm.
totally be like one of those things where they just put like Toby doing something stupid for like 2 minutes, you know? Like
Yeah, that's actually great. Yeah, that's
hire
actually smart. I never
hire
noticed
me,
that.
Disney, hire me.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, no. So overall, I think Visions was like a pretty good experiment. I think. Would you be
Mhm.
wanting to see a season two of Visions?
Yeah, I now the real question for me is if they did a season two, would I want them to do it in a similar way to this, where they like where they did a style animated like the Duel, they did a style animated like Akakiri, or would I want them to do like just a whole new just like range of weird shit, like just try something else entirely? And I think it's the latter. Like I think what I want from any future Visions is just for them to explore like really weird stuff like this.
Yeah,
Um,
I think so too. I mean, I would also like to see some of this stuff. Like we were saying, like make this like a full length thing, right? But also, if you're gonna do that, like please don't keep it keep it not canon. Because even some of the stuff in the good things was not canon,
well,
or
I was just
wouldn't.
thinking. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I guess it could be modified into canon. It's just like they
That's
need
sort
to
of what I was
be.
thinking. Like for the Ninth Jedi, if they wanted to do something like 4,000 years in the future, where like this is the setup, I think they'd have to change a few elements of it, but like they wouldn't need to include the Ninth Jedi as an episode in its own series. It would just be a series based on this Visions thing. They could make it
Mhm.
canon and then like write it so it's consistent with canon.
They could
I think
rewrite
that
it,
would be like
yeah,
okay.
yeah, and like La Pinocho, like it also pretty much fits.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I mean, with La Pinocho, it's like kind of like the Jedi proliferation problem, where like the more that is produced, like the more that the Jedi are not actually extinct after Order 66. I mean, they did do it. I should have said this when we were talking, but they did do it in a good way, where like an interesting way, where it's like the lightsaber was passed down like as like a family heirloom, like way even before the Empire, and she just happens to have force powers too. But like I think the
Right.
idea of like a Jedi came to this planet like back in like the distant past and like they passed it on, like that's a pretty damn cool idea. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, even then they did a good job with like the kind of avoiding that like Jedi proliferation problem. Um, but yeah, I definitely I think when it comes to back to the main point, when it comes to seeing more visions, I would like for the S tier ones, like maybe make a movie about it. Um, and then I'd also think like getting more animation studios, like just like throw something at the wall and we'll see what is awesome and what's not, and it's just like cool experimentation, right?
Yeah. So you say, would you like to see sort of a second season of this?
Yeah, yeah, I would. And then I'd also like I wouldn't mind seeing like the S tier ones like being expanded on as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like
Mhm.
why not like if Disney has all the money, they can just do this, you know?
Yeah,
Um
well, they are, aren't they? Didn't they just say there's going to be like a Lando show, or am I misremembering that?
man, I don't know. I haven't been really following. It's like, has it been canceled or something or like postponed?
It Yeah, it was announced December 10th, 2020. Star Wars Lando is an upcoming series. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not a whole
man.
lot of info about it yet, but yeah, they're just doing everything. I mean, to be fair, of all of the characters in Star Wars, Lando is one that I would love to see a show about. I think that would be really funny.
No, yeah, I think Lando's a good one. And the actor for him, what's his name? Donald Glover.
Billy D.
He
Williams? Oh, young Lando. Okay.
yeah, young Lando. He's a
Yeah.
pretty good actor. I liked him in
Yeah,
Community
I
and
agree.
stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, well, let's not drag this out too long. I think we
Mhm.
are wrapping it up. If you
Yeah.
had to like rate Visions out of 10, what would you give
Mhm.
it?
I had to rate it out of 10.
I'm,
So, like, oh, that's tricky.
Because it's hard, because we have like a tier list for each individual episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I mean, some of the better ones like are up there, and some of the worst ones are down there. I think like judging it as a whole rather than like, because judging by the sum of its parts would be like or like averaging like each of the episodes, right? And like, but I think
Mm.
like I would rather judge it as a whole. Like, what did it do? Like, what did it want to do? And I think like judging it as a whole, I liked it. I thought that it was a cool idea. I didn't like love it. I probably won't like watch through all of them again.
Yeah, no,
I
maybe one or two of the episodes, if any.
Yeah, probably like holistically like an 8 maybe.
I was thinking that you'd give it a 7, and I'm surprised that you gave it an 8. I mean, honestly, yeah, I'm gonna say
Yeah.
like 8 or 7. You know, like
Yeah.
7.5. You know?
Yeah, no, I just think that like I think even though it's not my favorite episode in the series, I think the episode that most like best summarizes this whole thing is actually the first one, the duel. I think like it shows you what this is going to be. It's going to be a bunch of like little skirmishes that have really creative like either art styles or like story concepts, and then it's just going to roll with that for 15 minutes. And I think the duel is like that boiled down to its fundamentals. Personally.
I couldn't have put it better myself. All right, well, I think that wraps up our discussion here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked the video, please subscribe to my channel and go over to Ben's and subscribe as well. We'll have links in
It's
the
Jeff.
description. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll go over to Jeff's channels, WhiteBeans, and subscribe to his channel. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Have a good one.